Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jacinta. It is your first time here. Thank you for stopping by. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to cut and sew this rolled collar. If it's what you love to learn, kindly watch till the end. And if you're yet to subscribe, please hit on the subscribe button below and also turn on the notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. So without wasting more time, let's jump right into the tutorial. Starting off with the pattern drafting, from the tip of my pattern paper, I'll mark 1 inch downwards and square across and label the shoulder line. Placing my tape on the shoulder line, I'll mark 10 inches downwards for my bust line, 14 inches for my under bust, and 17 inches for my half length. I'll square across and label these lines. On the shoulder line, I'll come in by 8 inches, which is half of my shoulder measurement. On that 8 inches point, I'll come down by 1.5 inches downwards for my shoulder slope, and I'll also mark 3.5 inches inwards on the shoulder line for my neck width and 3.5 inches downwards for my neck depth. I'll connect the neckline with my curved ruler and I'll also connect the shoulder slope. Placing my tape on the 1.5 inches I came down by, I'll mark 8 inches downwards on my armhole level and connect with a straight line. On the point where the armhole level ended, I will extend the line and label that chest line. I'll find the midpoint of this straight line. On that midpoint, I'm going to come in by ½ inch. On the chest line, I will mark quarter of my bust circumference. Then use my armhole cup to connect from the shoulder slope to the ½ inch I came in by to the quarter of my bust circumference that I marked on the chest line to form my armhole curve. Now for the darts, I'll come in by 4 inches, which is half of my nipple to nipple measurement, on the bust line, under bust and half length, and connect with a straight line. This straight line is the dart line. At the half length, I'll mark ½ inch on both sides of the dart line and connect it upwards to the dart line on the bust line. I will tighten my under bust, though this is optional. To do that, I'll mark ½ inch on both sides of the dart leg at the under bust and connect it upwards to the bust point, which is the dart line on the bust line, and downwards to the half length. This helps to shaping the under bust and make it to be more defined. What I'm going to do now is to mark quarter of my round body measurements. On the bust line, I will mark my bust circumference divided by 4, and I'll add extra 2 inches sewing allowance. I'll also add 2 inches on the chest line. On the under bust, I will mark quarter of my under bust circumference and I will replace the 1.5 inches dart. This dart that is at the under bust, I'm going to replace it by the side, and I will also add 2 inches sewing allowance. At the half length also, I'm going to mark quarter of my waist circumference, add 2 inches sewing allowance and 1 inch dart. After marking this point, I'm going to connect with my ruler. I'm also going to mark my side bust dart. To do that, I'll place my tape on the bust line and mark 2 inches downwards. This 2 inches is the difference between the front and back half length, and connect it to the dart line on the bust line. I'm going to do a 50% contour before doing my princess dart, though this is optional, but it helps to give more fit to the outfit. So I'm going to mark the midpoint of my shoulder slant and connect it to the bust point this way, then slash it open and close my side bust dart. I'll take the measurement of the space between the two shoulders. I'll divide it by 4 and mark whatever I get on this armhole side of the shoulder. This side I'm marking now. I'll also mark it as shoulder extension and reconnect it to my armhole curve. For the princess dart, I will measure the distance between the bust to the under bust. Whatever I get, I'm going to minus 1 inch from it. I will place my tape upwards on the bust line and mark it on the armhole. Then use my curved ruler to connect from that point to the bust point. After that, I will cut it open so that I can close the side bust dart and the shoulder dart. After that, I'll go ahead and cut it out. Now for the back pattern, I'll place my tape on the tip of my pattern paper and mark 1 inch downwards. I'll square across and label that shoulder. Placing my tape on the back shoulder, I'm going to mark the bust point, and I'll also mark the back half length. The back half length I'm working with is 15 inches. I minus the 2 inches that we use for the side bust dart from the front half length to get 15 inches. If you added a side bust dart, you're going to minus 2 inches. But if you didn't take your side bust that your back half length is going to be the same with the front half length, but it's important to have a different half length for the front and the back so as to avoid any form of zipper bulge. So I'm marking 1 inch at the center back for the zip allowance. After marking, I'll connect with a straight line. I'll also square across the lines the marks I've made and label them. On the shoulder line, I'll mark off of my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. On that 8 inches point, I'm going to come down by 1.5 for my shoulder slope, and I'll mark 3.5 inches inwards for my neck width. I'll connect the shoulder slope. Placing my tape on the shoulder slope, I will mark 8 inches downwards from my armhole level and connect with a straight line. Then on the point where the armhole level ended, I'll extend the line. I will find the midpoint of this straight line. On that midpoint, I'll come in by 1/2 inch, and on the chest line, I'm going to mark quarter of my bust circumference, then use my armhole curve to connect from the shoulder slope to the 1/2 inch I came in by to quarter of my bust circumference on the chest line. For the dart, on the bust line, I'll mark 4 inches inwards, and on the half length, I'll also mark 4 inches inwards and connect with a straight line. Placing my tape on the half length, I'll mark 6 inches upwards and extend the dart line to that 6 inches. At the half length, I will mark 1/2 inch on both sides of the dart line and connect it upwards to the 6 inches I extended. I'll mark quarter of my bust circumference on the bust line and add extra 2 inches sewing allowance, and on the half length I will mark quarter of my waist circumference and replace the 1 inch dart and also add the 2 inches sewing allowance and connect the points. At the zip allowance, I'll come in by 1/2 inch and replace it at the side, then reconnect it. This 1/2 inch is to avoid zipper bulge, then connect it upwards to the shoulder line like so. Now for the back neck depth, it's going to be a V neckline. I'm going to mark 9.5 inches downwards and connect it to the neck width. I'll also connect the dart line to the midpoint of my armhole curve. Afterwards, I'll go ahead and cut it out. I was done cutting. I'm going to cut each of these pattern pieces on my fabric and my lining. To draft the collar, I'm going to place the center front and the center back pattern together and hold it down with my tape. And I'm also going to place the side back to the center back. Then I will get extra pattern paper and place it on it like this. I'm going to mark 1/2 inch upwards on the neckline from the center front to the center back like this. This 1/2 inch is for joining the collar and the fabric together. So after marking the 1/2 inch, I'm going to connect it. After connecting, I'm going to determine the width of my collar. So I marked 3 inches downwards from the neckline, starting from the center front to the center back. So just like the way you see me doing, go ahead and mark yours, after which I'm going to connect it. Now at the center back where the zip allowance started from, I'm going to mark 5 inches downwards like so. I'm going to mark 5 inches and connect with a slanted line. If you want yours to be longer, you can do 6 or 7 inches. It depends on how long you want yours to be. Then I'm going to connect it to the 3 inches width, just like the way you see me doing. After that, I'm going to trace it out with my tracing wheel. After tracing, I'm going to remove the paper, and please trace it very well so that when you remove the papers, the lines will be visible. I'm going to add half inch at that slanted end. This half inch is for turning the collar with its lining. After adding the half inch, I'm going to cut it out. After cutting, I'm going to cut it on my fabric now. So I'm going to fold my fabric into two, and make sure that the center front of this collar pattern is closed. The way you cut the center front of your pattern paper on your fabric, make sure that the center front is folded. So I'm going to cut out this first one. This is going to serve as the fabric, and I'm going to cut another one that will serve as the lining. So guys, I had to cut that part because it was too long. Just go ahead and cut out your collar on the fabric and its lining. I was done gumming my facing to my main fabric and the lining, so I used wadding and the hairstay. I doubled the hairstay, and I also doubled the wadding. I also gummed hairstay to my lining. I used black hairstay. And this is the collar. This is the two pieces of my collar. So what I'm going to do now is to join all my pieces together. So I was done joining, and this is the outcome. So what I'm going to do now is to open press the seams, that's of the main fabric and the lining, so that it will relax. This is the back piece. I've also joined it. What I'm going to do now is to turn the collar with its lining. So I'm going to place the two pieces front facing front, and I'm going to use half inch to sew from this slanted end to the other slanted end. I'm going to leave the upper part open because that's where I'm going to be attaching to the neck. I'm also going to join the two shoulders of the front and back piece together. After joining the shoulders, I'm going to place the collar on the neckline of the front and back. So just like the way you see me doing, go ahead and arrange your collar on the neckline. After arranging your collar, this is what it should be looking like. So you're going to pin it down. This is what it should be looking like. You see the way it is relaxed. So if you followed all the procedures from the drafting to the cutting to the joining, you're going to have this result. You're going to have it looking like this. So the neckline of the collar and that of the main fabric should align before turning it with the lining. So after pinning it down, I'm going to turn this neckline with my lining. Mind you, I've also joined the shoulders of the lining, just the way we joined the main fabric. That's how we're going to also join the lining. To turn it, I'm going to place the lining on the main fabric front facing front. Make sure that it aligns very well. The neckline of the lining aligns with that of the main fabric. Then you pin it down. I'll go back to my machine and sew it round using half inch. After joining it, I'm going to trim. It's either you trim or you notch that neckline to reduce the bulkiness, so that when you flip the lining to the wrong side and iron it, it will relax. You can also use hemming gum for the neck, or you can top stitch. So that will be all for the drafting, cutting and sewing of this rolled collar. If you've learned something new and you find this video helpful, please turn that subscribe button below, and do not forget to turn on your notification bell, so whenever I upload a new video, you'll be the first to get notified. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in my next tutorial.